So, I, 14, was born from an affair between my mom and my dad. She already had a 1-year-old, my half-sister. My dad didn't know my mom was married when they started dating, but when she got pregnant her husband found out and left her. My mom was going to abort me, but my dad paid her a lot of money. She signed over rights and was not part of my life financially or emotionally. She just birthed me. I don't blame her or hold men or women who leave accountable. Everyone from her side know about me, however they don't care. Well, my mom and her husband got back together for my half-sister, and my dad ended up starting a business and earning about 8 figures yearly. Now, my mom contacted my dad, saying she wanted to get to know me better. I was skeptical and not sure because I didn't really think about her often, but I decided I would meet her. I met up with her and her family and it was pretty awkward. These people were not my main family. I had never even met my stepdad or sis. I'd be talking with my mom's side for about 2 months when at a family gathering they all sat me down like I was in interrogation and told me that the reason they contacted me was because that my half-sister has kidney failure and was basically dying. They said they needed a transplant and that I was the only hope. I was pissed. I couldn't believe them. I just left and my dad picked me up. I told him and he said that it's your choice to see if I'm eligible you give before I make my decision. I arranged to get tested. I think they thought to this as me agreeing and told everyone the good news. After some time and talks with family I told them that I would not be donating my kidney. They had done nothing for me and if the only reason to contact me was for my kidney then I didn't want anything to do with them. I got loads of hateful messages and calls from people angry but decided to stand by my decision and I blocked most of the people spamming me. After that I got a call from my sister saying I had given false hope and calling me a douche. Insulting me and telling me my life has been a fairy tale and hers has been a wreck. I do feel bad, but I simply do not want to give up my kidney. I could give it with no extreme consequences you could say, but why would I for people who remembered me and tried buttering me up only for my kidney? A few days ago I got a call from the remainder of them saying my sister was in critical condition and was going to die and I was her only hope. Spamming me and sending me photos of her. I consulted my family and friends are calling me a massive douche saying I can save a life, but I am choosing not to etc. They said she did nothing wrong and deserves to live and I am pretty much hated right now, apart from my dad who is on my side. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It's a dangerous procedure that does not come without risk. As far as you're concerned, these people are strangers. You don't get to pull the family card when you want something, but literally sign you away when they don't. It's absolutely ridiculous that your decision will come to the detriment of someone who wasn't privy to all that went on, but as far as I'd be concerned, you shouldn't be saying no to spite these people. You should be saying no, because it's dangerous and we can't all be giving away organs whenever a stranger comes knocking. You've got half your genes, you may need both kidneys. Your mother's family only values you as a farm. Is it horrible what's happening to the girl? Sure. But you owe nothing to them, they're essentially strangers. Worse, they actively denied a chance to know you. The woman who gave birth to you did so for money. She sold her baby, you. Don't let them guilt you into something you aren't comfortable with. Period. You're 14 and they insulted you for prioritizing your own health and making an incredibly hard decision after they abandoned you and then sought you out in order to emotionally manipulate you into a medical procedure. Your sister's situation is sad, but 14 is really young to donate a kidney. If she's critical, that will move her up on donation lists. You are not her only hope. Please block these people from contacting you. I, 27, know that I'm not the idiot, or so I think, for part of this, but the way in which I responded at the end is an idiot move according to my friend. The saga starts with me boarding my plane. I get to my seat, let's say 10A, and see that there's a man in my seat. I politely tell him that I'm in A and that there's already someone in C, so he must be in the middle. He tells me that he's happy where he's at and that he made a mistake thinking he's in the window, but now I must take the middle instead. I refuse and the person behind me tells him to move. He reluctantly does so and makes the 4-hour flight total hell. He proceeds to elbow me, lean really far in his seat so that I can literally feel him etc. He was manspreading like no other. He literally had his leg in my tiny under-seat section rubbing up against my leg. I asked him to move his leg and he told me that I don't need the space and he does. I'm 5'2" feet and 100 pounds. I know I'm small, but that does not entitle this man to my personal space, especially where his leg is brushing up against mine. He's rather obese and starts loudly complaining that I'm essentially fat shaming him. Finally I can't take it anymore and I take my backpack and I block his legs from touching mine with it. He complains again. I told him that I should not have to suffer and that if he wanted extra space he should have bought 2 seats. This is where I might be the idiot. He starts whining and going on an incel-like tangent that all girls judge him for being fat and this is why he's single. I married and was wearing my wedding ring and he told me that I'm behaving poorly because I'm off the market and don't have to pretend to be nice to men since I trapped a guy already. I'm irate at this point and go off on him and told him that he was quite literally the worst person I'd ever had to sit next to. That I pity anyone else in the future who has to sit next to him and suffer. That he's single because he is bad. After I go off on him, he's completely quiet and keeps his legs in his section. I told my friend this whole saga expecting her to agree that he's the idiot, but she said everyone's the idiot here because I probably ruined his self-esteem and went overboard. This got brought up again as my friend is overweight and has anxiety about flying. When I tried to reassure her that she'll be fine, she brought this up and called me an idiot. My friend is a lovely person and would never behave in such an entitled manner. I keep trying to explain that it wasn't his weight that made me go off, but the fact that he antagonized me for hours. Not the idiot. The man was already not fond of you from the start. And it seems like he was just egging you on. I get not being uncomfortable in a seat, however, that doesn't give you the right to ruin the experience with other people and ultimately annoy them. He annoyed you to the point where he made you seem like the idiot, but no. He did that to himself. You were just tired of dealing with it. He then even proceeded to say that he is fat and how you are acting mean to him simply because you are already taken and off the market. Who the hell phrases it like that anyway? Everyone has to do their best on planes to make those around them comfortable because the baseline experience is already so miserable. It's worse for people who are too big for their seat, whether they're too tall, too broad, or too fat, and that absolutely can give them some anxiety cause they will be inconveniencing those adjacent to them in a way a very petite person will not. You're not the idiot. If he was anxious about this, he took it out on you and behaved like a lout for the duration of the flight. This was happening for long enough that this dude was clearly the idiot. As a bigger guy myself, I feel very awkward on public transport because often when I adjust or shift my weight, I very briefly lean on or accidentally press up against the person next to me for like a second or two, but I go out of my way to be as unobtrusive to those sat next to me as possible. It's not difficult, it's basic human decency. Long story short, 3 years ago my fiance's mom was trying to leave a relationship and needed a place to stay. At that time we lived in a very small, cramped 2-bedroom apartment with a second bedroom converted into my office because I work from home and need the space for my employment equipment, 2 monitors, printer, fax, filing cabinets, etc. Despite me saying that I truly didn't want to give up my space, he begged and pleaded until finally, I gave in. He said, and I quote, "When a day comes you know I would do the same for you if your family ever needed it." I was honestly still far from happy because realistically speaking his mom didn't need a place to go at all. The house her and her boyfriend had was in fact hers and she had owned it for years, so why she was the one to move out is beyond me. It wasn't a toxic relationship, she just wasn't feeling it anymore. Fast forward 2 months of her staying, she has completely taken over my office space and I have my equipment set up in the only other spot available, directly in front of my TV. She moves out and back in with her boyfriend. Never paid a dime and didn't even bother taking most of her crap with her, which took me more than 3 days to clear out with my fiancé. Not impressed. Anywho, we upgrade. We bought a 4-bedroom home last year with a plan of expanding our family. This was prior to finding out he is fertile. It's sad but honestly, it is what it is. I'm not wildly upset about it. However, my mom just lost her home due to foreclosure. She was renting and her landlord didn't pay his rent, so the house was foreclosed and she was given a 3-day notice to quit. My mom has my siblings with her, 14-year-old twins. Very well behaved and clean kids. She needs a place to go. We have 2 rooms available. I bring it up with my fiancé, and he immediately says he isn't comfortable with it and that he doesn't want his home to feel like it isn't his by allowing other people to move in and take over. So, I brought up his agreement years back and stated that I allowed his mother to move in for literally no reason, whereas my mother legit needs a place. He is now saying that that was years ago and the situation is 100% different because there wasn't 2 teenagers running the house when his mom moved in. He says I'm an idiot for trying to force this on him and make him do something he isn't comfortable with. Am I the idiot? I have no words, OP. I would rethink the fiancé status, he's up to bad and proving he doesn't value your family the way he demands you to value his. How about offering him to stay with his mommy dearest if he can't fathom sharing a 4-bedroom home with your siblings for a short period of time? I mean, she should return the favor, right? You literally made do with insufficient space for months for his mother, who owned the home she was leaving. Your husband blaming the completely different circumstances on the twins is illogical. They are 14, not 4, they aren't going to ruin your house. You set up firm house rules and get by. In truth, your completely different circumstances is that you have something like 5 times the space. And are asking to temporarily house 3 family members who need emergency housing. Not a woman who wanted to leave her boyfriend without evicting her boyfriend to his face. Seems that he was more interested in helping his mom out and putting you out of place more than actually being a partner in a relationship. You may want to rethink this fiancé, since he seems perfectly fine with your mom and siblings out being homeless since it'll make him uncomfortable. Never mind that you were pushed out of your office at this pestering to help his mom who didn't need to be there. So, my son got married super early, 18, and I supported him, but also expressed my grievances. Anyways, his wife has always hated me for anything I do. I've tried to lead Olive Branch, but she always rejects it. Him and his wife fell on quite hard times after my son lost his job. My son has been fine living with me, but his wife wasn't. She complains about anything and everything I do, she hates my cooking, but if my son heats her up a bowl it's the best thing ever. If I clean the whole house plus the room they are staying in I always miss a spot, never a thank you or anything. Yesterday decided I didn't want to be treated like this anymore and told her that I don't know where this hostility was coming from and if she doesn't at least try to get to know me then she can leave. She proceeded to call me the B word, so I gave her 30 days to move out. My son said that was too harsh and to just deal with it, but I already have for a long time. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Nobody should have put up with this kind of disrespect and hostility in their own home. You've welcomed this person into your home and shown them kindness in their time of need. I can't even begin to understand how she has the nerve to treat you and talk to you this way. Any normal person would be thankful and do their best to be respectful and helpful around the house. Your son has blinders on. Sit your son down and discuss it with him instead of a fight. Ask him what the issue is, why he thinks when you are there doing for them, he thinks it's okay for her to treat you that way. Maybe that we'd told her all about your grievances if you only shared them with him, or if shared with both and never revisited and discussed. Maybe she is looking for an apology to move forward, or maybe she is just a petulant child and your initial concerns were correct. You should have given her 30 minutes instead of 30 days. Well, there might be some missing info here about the relationship and daughter-in-law might have real reasons for the attitude. She needs to take the attitude somewhere else. It's your home, and they are staying in it with you. Your son also needs to take himself somewhere else if he thinks his wife's behavior is appropriate. My sister and I both have a kid around the same age. My son is 9. Her stepdaughter is almost 9. Both go to the same school now. However, they only officially met 6 months ago. My sister lived in the United Kingdom until she and her husband moved back to the United States. She and I are not super close, so there were no big trips to stay in touch, etc. Her stepdaughter has had trouble settling into school over here. From what my son and one of the class parents have told me, she likes to get things her way in everything and doesn't like compromise or care for what others want, think or feel. My sister has complained about the complaints from the teacher and other parents before, so she asked my son to be his cousin's friend to include her. He tried once, and all his friends said hell no as soon as she started to take over. So he stopped trying. This became an issue these last few weeks because she doesn't play with anyone, has no friends, has tried to demand they play with her, and she has been told no. My sister ended up telling my son he should be playing with his cousin and helping her. That she feels so alone in school and like nobody likes her. He told my sister she should be nicer. She then goes off that it's not right to treat family different for being step. I told her to cut the crap. That she has been told about her stepdaughter's behavioral issues and it's not fair to expect my son to risk his friendships by insisting she be included when she doesn't treat everyone with the kindness she wants to see. My sister said we wouldn't say that if she was her daughter. I told her I would. And that she can't be angry at a kid for not wanting to lose friends over this, and it's horrible to say this is being handled differently because she's a step. She said he acts like they're strangers. I told her they practically are. They did not grow up together. She is still harping on about this and is telling our family I am not teaching my son kindness or inclusivity. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. And I'm dying at your son telling your sister she should be nicer. Way to go, kid. This isn't about your sister's stepdaughter being step, this isn't about inclusivity or your son's kindness. This is about your sister's stepdaughter's behavior interfering with her social skills, and your sister, and maybe the child's father too, are ignoring it and enabling it. It's one thing to hear it from one parent, but if multiple parents and teachers and whatnot are saying it, maybe it's time your sister considers the problem is at her house, not elsewhere. Your son hit the nail on the head when he said his cousin needs to be nicer. Your son doesn't need to set himself on fire to keep his cousin warm. He tried to include her, she wasn't nice, and that was the end of it. Not all cousins are best friends, sometimes I don't like my cousins, their personalities and mine don't match. That has nothing to do whether there's a genetic similarity or not. Because most of the cousins that I don't really like are my biological cousins, yet the ones I might get along with better are my step cousins. Kinda feel for the girl though. She's been taken to America and probably has some preconceived ideas of how it's going to be when she gets there, and your sister has probably told her your son will play with her and so on. But this does not excuse her behavior. She can't demand her way or no way that others stop and include her when she's being a brat. Sister is brushing everything onto everyone else when it's her and brother-in-law's parenting and sense of entitlement that is the root of the issue. Your son shouldn't suffer or lose friendships because of her. Nothing you said was out of line, just truthful.